How's it going, everybody? KCG Trades here, and what a month we just had. The past 30 days have been amazing after coming out of this little correction that we had. Small caps finally broke out, and I'm sure a lot of you have been making tons and tons and tons of money. But now is the time to be a little careful. We are getting a bit extended, but on the other side, on the bright side, it is a seasonally bullish period going into the end of the year. November, December usually tends to be great for equities. And with everything pointing in the right direction, this could be an end of year strong rally that I've been mentioning for the past couple weeks, past couple months. However, we are open to every situation. We don't want to be greedy and just go all in. We still want to wait for the right setups. We don't want to buy extended stocks. We don't want to chase stocks. But once again, there are a lot of opportunities in the market right now, and it's best to take advantage of them the best we can. So let's just dive right into the market, starting with the Nasdaq Composite. So if we pull up the Nasdaq Composite here, as we see from October 5th, 6th, where the bottom was, we kind of just went straight up into all-time highs. Not much resistance going on, and we continue to just make new highs daily after October 26th. But now is where I tend to get a bit cautious, mainly because of the fact that we are quite extended from the 10 EMA. We are about 3% away from the 10 EMA. So a quick rug pull or maybe just a pullback is in order. I don't like when the EMAs get too extended from the indexes. That's just never a good risk to reward situation in terms of going long. And we have to be careful when entering new long positions when the market is extended, because it just adds more risk to us. Also, as we see here, continuing into all-time highs daily, we have been doing it on declining volume, so there is a bit of a divergence there as well, which is never a good sign. But like I said, it is a very good time in the market right now, so anything is possible. We could have a melt up like many people have been saying there might be, or we can just even pull back to the EMAs and continue higher. That's what I'm hoping for. But like I said, we're open to any situation. The fact we're in all-time highs and many sectors, many industries are working is a great sign. So for now, I want to see the Nasdaq basically just pull back in an orderly fashion, come to the 10 EMAs, let the EMAs come back to price, settle down a bit, and then continue higher towards the end of the year. That's the most ideal situation for me, but obviously the market doesn't care what I think, and let's see what happens. But for now, everything is really good, bullish. Could be a very strong end of the year. So if we take a look at the S&P, same situation, very similar to the Nasdaq. It's not as extended as the Nasdaq, but it is a little bit extended. Same thing, I want to see it flag to the 10 EMAs, kind of come back, pull back, and then continue higher towards the end of the year. Dow Jones, same situation, broke out to all-time highs. Now let's pull back. Let's see if we could just get some order. And one thing I forgot to mention, the first pullback after a breakout is usually a good buying opportunity. So in this case, I'm looking for a pullback and ready to get aggressive again. And if we take a look at the IBD 50, we see here after going into all-time highs, breaking down to the 200-day and basically going straight up once again, retesting these highs. We did find some resistance at these levels, so it may be time for a small pullback or just some sideways action just to get some more strength, as going from 45 to 52 just straight up is kind of unhealthy. That V-shaped look isn't ideal, so we want to see it kind of calm down a bit. It is kind of a bit erratic and volatile, so we want to be patient with it and wait for the right setups. Now if we take a look at IWO and IWM, starting with IWO, the Growth 2000 ETF, it finally broke out of this little base here, broke out on good volume. Now we are a bit extended as well. However, we still have this level to get through, 339. So we're not in all-time highs yet. We do have a little bit of resistance here, but another one that we are a bit extended from the 10 EMA. So once again, with all indexes, with all things, we are a bit extended now. We are overbought, so now we want to be careful and want to really wait for the right setups to occur. Let the sentiment kind of settle down, because it kind of got too dramatic the past 2 weeks. So we want to just wait, be patient, and not be too greedy and control our emotions. Same thing with IWM, but this looks much better as it broke out into all-time highs. But once again, we are a bit extended from the 10 EMA, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a strong pullback coming, maybe a quick rug pull just to reset sentiment. Right now, everyone is bullish, everyone's greedy, and everyone just thinks it's going to go straight to the moon, which is always a bad sign. When everyone thinks one thing, the market tends to do the opposite. So we have to be very careful here. Same thing with ARK ETF. This one's kind of still wobbly, not really much direction going on, but we did get finally above all the EMAs, so that's good to see. So if we could continue back higher and just move higher towards the end of the year, that'd be very, very bullish. And now if we take a look at the indicators that I've been looking at for the past few months, starting with the Fear and Greed Index, as we see here, we're in extreme greed, how fast we move to extreme greed, 85 level out of 100, which is crazy. We want to be very careful here. It's never a good time to be buying stocks when this level's that high. Market momentum, same thing, extreme greed. Safe haven, extreme greed. Put and call options, extreme greed. Junk bond demand, extreme greed. Stock price breadth, greed. Stock price strength is neutral. Market volatility, neutral. So everything is either neutral or extreme greed. There's not much fear going on, no fear at all, so that's never a good sign. So in my opinion, I really think we are due for a pullback. But that doesn't mean we're not watching stocks. That doesn't mean stocks can't still set up. It just means that we have to be careful. And in terms of my focus list for the week, I do have about 15 names that I'm watching. I'm very excited to share them with you guys because I do believe these are going to be the strongest names going to the end of the year. So let's start right away and get into it with Airbnb. So starting with Airbnb here, we had a huge power earnings gap up on Friday after announcing earnings. And remember, it's not about the actual earnings, it's about the reaction to earnings. And with Airbnb, we had a beautiful reaction. So this is definitely one to watch moving forward. The fact also is they are in a stage 1 base here after IPOing back in December. So we haven't even hit the new highs yet after 219. And with this power earnings gap up, this could be the start of really getting it into all-time highs because as we all know, those earnings gap ups are usually the start of a big move, especially with a reaction like this. So this is definitely one to keep an eye on. We really want to watch this high volume close. Maybe Monday we'll have a good red to green move where it starts off red and gets to this level. I'll be looking to buy that, or if we could get maybe some flagging action just for a couple of days, couple weeks, just so the EMAs can catch up to price, let this settle down. If that's the case, I'm really looking to buy Airbnb. Also, another thing that really excites me with Airbnb is a lot of people are starting to travel again. With COVID starting to get behind us, hopefully it will get fully behind us soon. People are starting to travel again, book with Airbnb, go to cottages, etc. So Airbnb is a direct beneficiary of things opening up again. So I'm really paying attention to this and see how we act in the future. And the next stock I'm watching is AMD. If we take a look here, we had a nice double bottom base breakout here into all-time highs. They also just announced earnings. They didn't really have a big reaction, but after pulling back to the 10 EMA in an orderly fashion, we had a beautiful move into all-time highs. Now we are a bit extended, so this is another stock that I'm looking to basically flag again. Semiconductors have been very strong, but they are extended, as we all know. So I'm waiting for the EMAs to catch up to price, maybe get another flag action here, similar to what we saw last week. See if we could do that, let everything settle down, and move higher towards the end of the year. It's very simple what I'm looking for. That's what I'm watching for with AMD. And the next stock I'm watching is BE, which is Bloom Energy. We had a gap down to start the day on Friday under the 10 EMA after announcing earnings, but the reaction to earnings is what really matters. As we see here, we had a nice oops reversal. We reclaimed the 10 EMA and we had strong volume coming in. So it shows that buyers are still interested in this stock. And we actually had a bullish engulfing throughout the day, but then it closed around 31.92. So this is very strong action with the stock. However, I do want to see it kind of settle down a bit, just tighten up, stay above the 10 EMA and have a nice little pattern before entering. But this is definitely one to watch moving forward. So let's see if it could tighten up and continue higher moving forward. That's really what I'm watching for with BE. And the next stock I'm watching is BILL. So Bill had a nice power earnings gap up on Friday, closing in the high ranges of the day, which is good to see. So same thing with Airbnb, same thing with all power earnings gap ups. If you didn't get in on the first day, it's time to be patient and just wait for another setup to come. So what I'm essentially looking for is possibly like a flag action here. As I expect the market to pull back, I don't really expect Bill to go crazy. I expect it to just go sideways, similar to what we saw the past 2 months when it had a previous power earnings gap up. So I want to see this kind of just flag here, and then as the EMAs catch up to price, sets up again, then I'll be looking to go long. So this is just something I'm putting on my watch list, but not looking to trade right away. Simple, that's what I'm looking for with BILL. The next stock I'm watching is Bros. So Bros has earnings on November 10th, which is Wednesday. So this is a stay away until earnings are announced. We don't want to buy pre-earnings because that just adds tremendous amounts of risk. After moving forward into all-time highs, it has been flagging off the 10 EMA. It did touch the 21 EMA on Friday and recovered nicely. So for now, I just want to see how it acts until earnings are released. I just want to see it stay in this controlled flagging action here. And once earnings are announced, we want to see how it reacts. If we get a gap up into all-time highs, I'd be looking to buy that power earnings gap up. Or depending on the reaction, if it doesn't move, I'll be looking to buy it if we get above this flag here. But it also depends on so many factors: how the market's doing, how the earnings was, how the earnings reaction was. So for now, this is just a name on my focus list, and we want to wait until after November 10th to see how we're going to move forward. Pretty simple. That's what I'm watching for with Bros. The next stock I'm watching is Coin, which is Coinbase. This one also has earnings coming up on November 9th, so this is Tuesday. So another one we want to stay away from until earnings are announced. But this one is definitely one to keep an eye on, especially with all the crypto craze going on. Coinbase is a direct beneficiary of it. After going from 224 all the way to 345, it's just been going sideways for the past 4 days. And I do believe it's just going to go sideways on Monday again. I think investors are waiting for earnings to be announced, and we'll see how earnings are. If we get a nice gap up, I'll be looking to buy that as well. But there is still some overhead resistance for whoever bought on the IPO day. But this is definitely still in the stage 1 base. Right now it's in that institution accumulation phase. So whatever happens on earnings day, we want to just pay attention to, wait for it to come. Same thing with bros. So we just want to wait for earnings, and whatever happens after earnings are announced, then we can move forward. But for now, just pay attention to this name because this could be a big winner. So the next stock I'm watching is Datadog. So Datadog had another power earnings gap up on Friday. It wasn't the best looking power earnings gap up because we opened at the high of the day, and the rest of the day we kind of just went downwards. However, we still have this strong gap that did not get filled, so that's good to see. So similar to what we saw Airbnb, similar to BIL, I just want to see it kind of go sideways for the next few days, few weeks, let the EMAs catch up to price before we get a new setup in. Very similar to what I'm looking for with those stocks. So that's exactly the same thing I'm looking for Datadog. Very simple. And the next stock I'm watching is ENPH, which is Enphase Energy. This one has been acting like a beast recently. Had a beautiful power earnings gap up on October 27 and just continued to go higher. Now it is a bit extended, so I do believe it's time to just calm down a little bit, let the EMAs catch up to price. And I kind of drew out my ideal situation here. I want to see it kind of just flag here, let the EMA, 10 EMA and 21 EMAs catch up to price, have a nice flag here, and then break out from this flag. Like I've been mentioning, I do believe that the overall market is going to pull back a bit. So if this can pull back nicely in an orderly fashion on low volume, as we see here, the volume has been drying off a bit. If we could just continue to do that, then I'll be looking to get into this stock. But this is definitely one to pay attention to because how strong it's been acting. That's really what I'm watching for with ENPH. And the next stock I'm watching is LC. Now, LC is another name that had a beautiful power earnings gap up on October 28th. Since then, it held its high volume close so far, which is A++, which is great to see. Kind of just moved higher, and now it's just been flagging ever since. I do want to see it catch up to the 10 EMA, flag even more. Similar to what I said with ENPH, just continue its flag while the market hopefully pulls back. And then once it does in an orderly fashion, I'm looking to go long at a nice place off the 10 EMA or maybe even 21 EMA, depending on how big this pullback is or if we even get a pullback. However, everything I'm seeing with LC is very constructive. Right now, if we get a pullback to the 10 EMA, it is higher than the high volume close, which would be amazing to see. We don't want to see price get below that high volume close, or if it does, we want to see it rally back up and close above the high volume close, because that's a very important spot in terms of price action. So I just want to see how this acts, and if you guys haven't noticed, I'm really looking for these flags, these wedges, all that stuff while the market pulls back. So that's really my focus for the week. LC, that's pretty much it. The next stock I'm watching is LYV, Live Nation Entertainment. You see another power earnings gap up. So this is something I'm really focusing on for the end of the year. Live Nation Entertainment kind of benefits from the overall world opening up with COVID settling down. Entertainment shows coming back. This had a beautiful power earnings gap up, caught the street off guard. Huge earnings surprise, huge volume coming in. So similar to all the names, Airbnb, Bill, DDOG, want to see just some flag action going on and then see if it could continue higher moving forward. And the next stock I'm watching is SI, Silvergate Capital, which is a direct beneficiary to cryptocurrency once again, breaking out into all-time highs here. In the past 2 days on lower volume, it has been red, but like I said, has been on lower volume, which is great to see. But it is a bit extended from the 10 EMA. So similar to every other stock I'm watching, just want to see it flag, let the EMAs catch up to price, and hopefully the market pulls back. This does so in an orderly fashion. And once everything's ready again, set up for a new boom higher. So that's really what I'm watching for with SI. Very, very simple with every stock I'm watching. Just waiting for earnings, waiting for a flag after its earnings gap up, or waiting for some sort of orderly pullback with those stocks that are moving into all-time highs. Very, very simple. And that's how trading should be. Shouldn't be too complicated. Shouldn't be thinking too much. It should just be, you see the setup, wait for the setup, and execute. So that's how I like to trade. And the next stock I'm watching is Skin. So Skin is a stock that just broke out into all-time highs after basing for about 2 months, and for the last 3 days it's just been consolidating on lower volume. This one does have earnings on November 9th, so this is another one that we want to stay away from until after Tuesday. Hopefully with its earnings, we get a nice reaction, we get a nice little earnings gap up, and then we could look to see how it acts moving forward, and then see if we get a nice power earnings gap up or something where it's actionable. But that's pretty much what I'm watching for with skin. A lot of it, because we're in the thick of earnings season, we just want to be patient. We want to wait until after earnings are announced and then see how we move forward. So that's what I'm watching for with skin. The next stock I'm watching is SOFI. This one also has earnings on Wednesday, November 10th. Has been acting very well on the right side of the base here as volume has been pouring in. We are still in a stage 1 base here as the right side of the base has been coming in on strong volume. So this is one to watch moving forward. Right now it's a little bit out of place right now. No real setup going on, but because we have earnings on November 10th, once again, we just want to be patient, wait for earnings to be announced, and then move forward accordingly. Same thing with skin, with all those earnings coming up, just be patient. And the last stock I'm watching for the week is which is Unity Software. This one also has earnings on November 9th, which is a Tuesday, but the way it's acting is very, very strong here. After having a huge pullback, it's just been acting very well ever since May 2021, continuously making higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. We're above all the EMAs in an orderly fashion, 10, 21, 50, 200. Kind of just been basing here for the past 2 weeks. I'm assuming it's just waiting for earnings to be announced, and once earnings are announced, hopefully we get a nice gap up, get a nice reaction, get a nice power earnings gap up, and then we can move forward from there. So if you guys haven't seen already, everything is very similar this week. Everything is either earnings gap up, flag, or something where I'm looking for a pullback. So that pretty much sums up my market outlook as well as my weekly watch list for the week. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you haven't, hit that like button down below and subscribe if you haven't already. Share with your friends and family. Hope you guys have a wonderful week. Thank you for watching once again. Take care.